Welcome to Filter Through Coffee, the podcast hosted by two dope Black officiants. As wedding officiants, we pour our hearts into every love story we tell, and this podcast is no different. So grab your favorite mug, pour yourselves a cup, and join us in rich wedding conversations that are for us, by us.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Filter Through Coffee, the podcast where candid wedding conversations are brewed with authenticity and culture. I'm your girl, Reverend Whitney Marie. I am the owner of Rev I Do Officiating, based here in sunny Los Angeles, and also servicing the Atlanta area. Your turn.
Okay, sis. We see you in different states. We
Pew,
see
pew,
you in
pew.
different states. Okay, pop up, period. We love to see it. Hey guys, my name is Tiara. I am the owner and lead officiant at Royal Treatment with Tiara, based in New Jersey. I have not spread out my wings yet, but I don't know. I gotta put that on my 2024 bucket list.
Just letting you know.
Yes, period. Okay, so let's get into the conversation, the question that everybody's going to be asking when they tune in and listen to this podcast. Why? Why do we have another wedding podcast? Why is it super important to filter everything we know about weddings through coffee? Why was this concept born?
Absolutely. Well, look, I have not seen anybody who looked like me doing what we do. And I was like, wait a minute, we missing from the conversation. And so that's essentially why Filter Through Coffee needed to start. There weren't conversations. Like, you could talk about a playlist.
Yeah.
But what does the wedding playlist of my culture look like? We're not doing Cotton Eye Joe. We're not. That is not it. If you do that, you're at the we looking like, wait, what happened? So let's filter that wedding playlist. And instead of Cotton Eye Joe, we doing the wobble. Okay.
Okay.
And so that is why we are here starting this space, because it's like we realized that we were doing the Macarena in a lot of spaces and we really needed the wobble. And so Filter Through Coffee is the wobble.
Yeah.
I
love that.
needed the wobble. I mean, this was cute, but
Right.
no, I need the wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble, baby.
That's me. Like I need to swag surf at the reception. That's like I have to. Like I have
Exactly.
to.
So what's your why for joining and creating, Filter Through Coffee?
Oh man, I think representation is so important. And when I started my officiant business, I didn't realize how many couples were looking for me to be in that sacred space with them. Someone who looked like them, someone who understood their culture, someone who understood the nuances, someone that made them feel like safe and like they didn't have to explain every little detail to me. Some things I just got. Like,
Absolutely.
We were culturally competent on. And once I recognized that people who look like us wanted that for their wedding day. It's like, okay, now I'm doing myself and all of these other amazing couples a disservice by not putting like tenfold into this business. And beyond what I do for the physical couples that I work with, creating this podcast space and having these conversations for people to listen to who may never encounter us, still get to experience our magic and get to incorporate that into their wedding day. So I feel like that is reasons why everything needs to be filtered through coffee, but specifically why we need to have these candid wedding conversations. Like, it's a necessity.
Yeah. Absolutely. What she said. Like, your answer was like Family Feud. Like, yes. But with Steve Harvey. You see what I'm saying? We filtered it through coffee, right?
Good answer. Exactly. Right.
Yes.
Necessary.
And so with Filter Through Coffee, we have this ongoing, clearly motif of you got to get you a cup, right? And so Filter Through Coffee, so what does your cup say?
Okay, so my cup says main character energy, which I feel like everyone needs to embody, okay? Especially for your wedding day, but every day you a main character.
And then mine says queen with a cute cat. Crown, excuse me. But who's sitting with us today, right? Like, who is this episode for? And who should be tuning in? And so our conversation today is about mic drop moments. It's for our couples, it's for our guests, so that you can recognize like your wedding, your day, there can be some laughs
Yeah.
if you want. And so
Right.
we're going to be diving into this topic around humor in the wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
And how you can prepare your guests, your family, and all other vendors about the laughs and the keys that will definitely
Mhm.
be able to come your way. So,
I love that. That is so exciting. So, the biggest question that I feel like I see talked about in the wedding space is humor appropriate for a wedding ceremony? Like, is that okay to add jokes, to add laughs during that time? What's your thoughts?
absolutely. So, if you have not already noticed, like I love to smile,
Yeah.
like I love to laugh, and so why would I get up there knowing this energy, this
Yeah.
big energy, this main character energy, the queen
Okay.
energy,
Yes.
and a lot of laughter, and I'm gonna get up there and be like, "So, you want her? You want her?" Like what? No, it's like
Yeah.
it's not the script, it's the moment. And so
Yeah.
I am definitely a believer that like you bring who you are into the ceremony. And so
Yeah.
if you are a lighthearted, fun, humorous person, please bring that into the ceremony. Please
Mhm.
let us know that you are not some like stick in the mud and you do not want us to be like dry eyes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no. And so
Absolutely.
for me, I think humor is a piece of the puzzle of who we
Mm.
are as humans and who I'm sure every couple laughs together. And if you don't,
Yeah.
I offer premarital. So we'll have that conversation
Period.
later,
Right.
right? But the ceremony should be an extension of who you are
Yeah.
and bringing in the joy and not only this piece of like only tradition and it has to be so
Mhm.
solemn and serious. It's like,
Yeah.
how about all of the above?
Yeah.
Because that's what you want. You want the moments where you can hold your partner and be like, "Hey, I'm being silly." And then you want the other moments where you're holding your partner and be like, "Hey, this is my serious phase." And
Right.
you want the gamut and spectrum of everything. So why
Yeah.
not include that into your ceremony? So that's
Yeah.
that's my take. So I'm here for all the fun and all the humor in the ceremony. That's just me. What about you?
Listen, I am right there along with you. I think that humor is super important in a wedding ceremony. One, because I'll have to say, with my consultations, most couples are looking to have an engaging and fun ceremony. That's what they're searching for. That's what they want. That's what they're asking us as their
Hmm.
officiant to provide for them, right? But I can't laugh at my own jokes. Okay, I can't. I mean, I can. Would that make it funnier? Like, I don't know. I am the laugh at my own jokes type. I ain't even gonna hold you. Nobody else can think it's funny, baby. It's hilarious to I, and I'm a laugh. But I think because that is something that is so important to couples now that they're asking for it in their ceremonies and with their officiants, it's important to talk about, right? We're
Hmm.
not having weddings in like, churches as much anymore. We're having them outside. We're having them at venues. We're having them at places that embraces like that type of environment for it to be fun and for people to engage with each other.
Hmm.
But more importantly, like I said, couples just do not want a boring wedding. Like that's probably like the top of the list of what they don't want
Absolutely.
at their wedding, right? I know you have this in your consultations where they're like, I want it to be like short and sweet, but I want to have a good time. I want to laugh. I want people to leave there believing in love again and just really reflecting our journey. And the other thing is when you are putting your personal, journey to matrimony in your wedding ceremony, you're having your officiant talk about your love story.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure you got some jokes up in there too. Whether it's that first date, whether it's, when you realize you love this person, this trip that you
Mm-hmm.
went on with them, and you're like, okay, I think this is gonna work out, but like I'm really I'm really not sure. Those
Exactly.
are the things, like those are the things that
Yes.
people see and they recognize just the humility and that they can find that with their partner too. And I think that's like something very special that we get to portray during the ceremony that like gets overlooked in the wedding planning space.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And I find that it also, as officiants, as ministers up there,
Yeah.
there's an assumption that we're serious.
Yeah, there is.
Like there's this assumption that like, let's keep it funky. It's an assumption. Like the guests are assuming some old
Yep.
man, and
Yep.
depending on it, it might be white, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
like not us at all.
Not us at
Like not
all.
even a little bit. Not even a
Yeah.
little bit. Not nothing. And then we walk in,
Yeah.
right? And that is the moment when that's why you choose
Yeah.
us, right?
Yeah.
Because when we
Hmm.
walk in, we already setting the stage of, baby, this is
Yeah.
not about to be what you think this is.
Yeah.
And so
Agreed.
already by the audacity of us being in
Yeah.
this field with
Yeah.
natural hair,
Yeah.
black women, look, I
Yeah.
can't see. Look, I got glasses. You know what I'm saying? Like all of the things around what does it mean to show up as us, right?
Yeah.
They weren't
Absolutely.
thinking somebody would come in with a cheetah print and blue nails and so they're like, wait a minute, you're the officiant?
Yep. I get
How
that
many
all the
times have you
time.
gotten that as
All the
far as like
time.
they're like, wait,
Yep.
you.
Yep. Yep. But then also immediately, right? Everything relaxes, right? Immediately, it's like, okay, it's almost like I see you. Like, I see you, you see me. Now I feel safe. Now I feel calm. Now I feel like I don't have to be on guard or on my,
Mhm.
best behavior. Like, I can just be. And I know that this space is safe for me. And I think that's the other thing that's like underestimated, with having an officiant that just like they're joyful themselves, they're humorous themselves. It's like you come
Yes.
into that environment and you just take the stress down like 10 different levels, from
Mhm.
not feeling like, oh, I don't know who I'm going to be, doing this with, doing that with, I'm confused, you know what I mean? You alleviate all of that just by your presence. You coming in with that smile, you coming in with that that mocha skin,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
It's just a different, right, period. It's just, it just makes such a difference. And then you're laughing and you're joking with the bridal party. You're laughing and you're joking with the couple, with the staff. And you're just, like you said, setting that tone and already just
Mhm.
creating that environment to embrace everything that is joyful and lighthearted about wedding planning, ceremony planning, getting married, all of that, all the deets.
All the deeds.
Yeah.
Like so I had a wedding on Sunday and it was a wedding where it was a Delta and a Q.
Yes.
And
Love that.
hey soror.
Right.
But literally like the moment of humor, right? So we're all standing up there, they all like excited. And then like the oops start, right? Like, and then the bros are ruling, right? And so it's just like this whole moment.
Yeah.
But it all started with me breaking the ice and being like, oh, so we got Coleman Love in the building, right? And then
Okay.
ooping, right? And being
Yep.
able to let folks know that this is not that ceremony.
Yeah.
We get to be ourselves
Yeah.
through the entirety of this marriage. And it
Yeah.
starts with the ceremony as well. If you
Yeah.
can't be yourself in your ceremony,
Yeah.
you can't be yourself in your marriage.
Yeah.
And so that's my take on however you do your ceremony.
Hmm.
Typically is a defining factor of how you do your marriage. And
Wow.
so if you got this ceremony that is the antithesis of who you are, it's
Hmm.
dry, it's
Hmm.
humorless, it's
Hmm.
boring, it's
Yeah.
long, and your feet hurt, guess what's gonna happen in your marriage?
Right.
It's gonna be boring,
Yep.
long, and your feet gonna hurt because
I'm
you
cracking
settled
up.
for less. You
Yeah.
settled for, and I'm not saying not having humor in your
Yeah.
ceremony means that but it's if that's who you are,
Yeah.
embrace it in every aspect of the ceremony, particularly
Hmm.
when I'm up there. I mean, like, that's what you get. And like you said, that's what they're looking for. I
Yes. It's just the
I've
most
had so many
important.
people be like,
Yeah.
it was the picture when you was laughing out loud and I could see all your teeth.
Yep.
But I was like, yep,
Yep.
it's her. I'm like, good, because I do have all of my teeth.
And I will be showing them,
And I
okay?
will be showing
Period.
you. Okay. So yeah. I
No, I love
mean,
that.
yeah. I
But
love that
it's
too.
true. It's true. And like some I don't know if this percentage is 100% correct. It might be just a tad bit more, but it said your officiant is in about 10 to 15% of your photos, right? So you keep that in mind as well, because we're in your photos with you, right? So like you said, that photo with you laughing out loud, or those emotional photos where everyone is laughing, and you know what I mean, you said something that people weren't expecting you to say, and now the bridal party is cracking up in the back because they're
Mhm.
like, oh no, that's
Yeah.
definitely them. Like, okay,
Yes.
spot on, right?
Yes.
Those moments are literally priceless, and so grateful, right, for the photographers, the content creators, videographers out there that can capture those moments for us. But it's important that when you are looking for your officiant and you're thinking about how you want your ceremony to be, picture those moments. Like, picture those moments with like your bridal party cracking up, or you and your future partner cracking up, and you have your officiant there and they're adding to that like atmosphere. Like that is, listen, chef's kiss, okay, baby, every time.
Listen, and I love what you said there. So now how do we balance that, right?
Yeah.
So how do we establish the right tone for someone's ceremony that
Yeah.
incorporates all this humor, right?
Yeah.
While also honoring the significance of this moment. Well,
Yeah.
how do you handle that?
I love that question, mainly because it starts in the planning meetings, right? Like, you don't decide to go in front of everyone and do your stand-up bit. No, this ain't that. This is not that. This is not like Showtime at the Apollo. This is an amateur night. Like, this
Right.
this
Because
is still
Sandman gonna
very
come out.
serious.
Okay.
Bad, real bad. So I think that is super important to start having those conversations during the ceremony planning meetings. Do you want, humor incorporated? How do you want to feel when you're getting to learn people's stories and you get to have those funny moments, and you think about, okay, how am I going to intricately put this within the ceremony so that it's like you're taking people down memory lane almost, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's one thing about officiating. And when you know that you have a really good officiant, is the storytelling aspect. How are they telling your story? How are they bringing in, again, those funny moments that really happen too? Like, this, it isn't something that like we just made up and like we're adding into, just like at the end. Like, no, 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 no. These are
Nah,
things
this real.
that actually occur, but you're just sharing them in such like a tasteful way that shows maybe a triumph, right? Maybe it's a trial that they had to get through and they've made it to the other side. And that's why we're standing here today. Maybe it was the first time they met and you're like, okay, y'all met. You thinking this person is this, that you ain't going to be working with them, or they only going to be there for a couple of weeks. And next thing you know, here you are 5, 10 years later, and you have them every day. And it all started because, you decided to work at this job or whatever the situation is. But I think the really big thing is just making sure that that's what your couple wants in the beginning. So start the
Mhm.
ceremony planning meetings, see how and what humorful moments are already naturally like in your couple's lives.
Mhm.
I think that's very important. But I think also it is really setting the tone when you do get to the ceremony. And it's before you even touch the mic, right? It's when you're greeting people at the
Mhm.
beginning. It's when you're
Mhm.
talking to the wedding party. It's when you're
Mhm.
talking to the other vendors. It's when you're going up there to make sure everything is secure at the table. They have, the lighter that you need to light the candle. You got your rope. You got everything you need to make sure that this is a seamless process. And you're just going and you're smiling and you're laughing while you're doing that background work. I think that really sets the tone. And your
Absolutely.
welcome message when you actually do go go up there and you are in front of the microphone and you're greeting the guests and letting them know we're about to get started, throw some humor in there, right? A lot of people like to do it with the unplugged message. You
Yeah.
know, we'll, we'll need the amateur photographers here. We done paid somebody to do this. Or, it's always that one aunt that's walking down the aisle with her phone out, or that one cousin that got a Facebook Live everything. Not today. Not today.
Yeah.
After the reception, whatever. But in this moment, I need you to, okay, keep it together. So I think even how you address certain announcements would be a great way to incorporate humor. And more or less, like you said, you're showing your personality. This is just who I am naturally. So y'all just going to get a little bit of what I got. Okay, and then we're going to get started.
Yes, honey. Yes. And I love that because I'll never forget. Before I even got out there, they were like, so what song do you prefer to walk down? And they were like, I was
That's
like, I can
good.
choose any song. And they were
Yeah.
like, yeah. I said, okay. So my behind walked down on Church Girl Beyonce, right? So
Okay.
I was getting it. And so even the fact that you have Beyonce playing with the lady with the mic and the
Yeah.
book, we like,
Yep.
oh, she the lady that's about to.
Yep.
Everybody was up, laughing, enjoying the moment. I even did a little two-step. I was feeling myself because I
Okay.
was.
Look,
But it
as
was
you
so
should.
but it was that moment where everybody got to then relax
Yeah.
because the guests are as nervous as the couple. Like
Yeah.
everybody in there, like the vendors are like everything got to be go smoothly.
Yeah.
Everybody is on this like
Yeah.
edge of their seat.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. And
Yeah.
so to have Church Girl playing, he like, hey, okay. There's relaxation that happens when you have a familiar person holding
Yeah.
space well for you.
Yeah.
And so that's how I hold humor. It's
I
a
love that.
tool to hold people,
I love that.
you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. So, what are some tips that you can give couples who are planning their wedding, um, so they can kind of explain their vision to their officiant of like how they want humor to be incorporated, or maybe even how have couples explained to you that they want humor incorporated into their ceremony?
Absolutely. So the language that I always hear is lighthearted, right? Like that
Yes.
sounds like I don't
It's
want to
like a
let them
ding ding
know. Like I
ding.
want to, it's just like
Yeah.
like a
Buzzword.
lighthearted ceremony, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I will say is when you are speaking with your officiant, you have to remember that your officiant is also human.
Yeah.
And so prayerfully, your officiant is also someone you trust and are familiar enough with to have a conversation of, okay, listen, you could do church girl, you could do, like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
and so I think the big tip is first finding someone that makes your shoulders drop.
Mm. Okay, explain that a little bit.
So it's this idea of like everybody comes in like into this, whether it's a consultation, if you're vetting an officiant, or if you're even down the line with an officiant. If
Yeah.
your shoulders are constantly up here and your fists are clenched and your jaw is tight, like you looking like Arthur, right? Like, oh my gosh. And it's like,
Right.
but when you start laughing,
Yeah.
or when you find and see someone who says, I got you,
Yeah.
your shoulders drop, your jaw loosens, your fists unclench, and you
Mm-hmm.
get to breathe differently.
Yeah.
And so before we can laugh it out, we got to be able to breathe first with the
Yeah.
person that is going to be up there with us. And so
Agreed.
find that person, like I said, who just lets your shoulders drop, who holds the space well. And what do I mean by holding space well? I'm meaning like, hey, I am from the other side of the tracks and my fiance is not. So I need you to be able to hold both of us as we are new money and we about to do this this wedding in, I don't
Right.
know, Beverly Hills. Like, how do you hold space for a cousin who ain't never been nowhere with grandma who like, ooh, I want to touch everything.
Right.
with, the friend who is also like, ooh, this is nice. And no, you cannot take that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you hold space for
Yeah.
everybody? How do you hold grandma and be like, hey, let me escort you to your seat? And this is where you get to stay and rest, which is a
Yes.
nice way to be like, grandma, stop touching stuff.
Right.
But you got to have somebody who can hold space for grandma, right?
Right.
And you got to
Absolutely.
have somebody who can be like, all right, we're not doing shots before
Yeah.
the ceremony, cousin P. But what we can
Right.
do is tally up how many times, like, they say, like, they kiss, and that's
Yeah.
how many shots you don't get to have. Who knows, right? Like, make it into a joke, but also be
Yeah.
like, nah, bro, you're not about to show up in here drunk.
Right. Right.
And so I think humor is also a beautiful gateway to
Yeah.
holding space in uncomfortable moments.
Yeah.
So when you do, I mean, I've had that cousin up there who we was like, oh, snaps, what do we do?
Right.
Right? Well, I knew we was, everybody see cousin right here. All right.
Right.
Do not take any pictures that way. They like,
Right.
got it. And
Yeah.
moving on, right? Let's call a spade a spade. Everybody sees him and
Yeah.
we acknowledge him, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna keep it pushing.
Yeah.
But you gotta have somebody in your familiarity and comfort and someone who sees you to be able to
Hmm.
also see the room and
Yeah.
read the room and read you.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
mean, I've had a couple where at the ceremony, we up at the altar, it's a cousin in the front row who wasn't supposed to be there causing trouble. And the
Yeah.
one thing that I love about the space of being an officiant is I have conversations with the couples that no one else is privy to in the
Hmm.
moment.
Yeah.
And they were like, she got to go. And I'm like, say less.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then me and the vendor have a conversation with our eyes, the
Hmm.
planner, and the cousin's gone.
Hmm.
And so it's being able to let them relax their shoulders, even in the moment
Yeah.
of stress,
Hmm.
and saying, hey, I got you. And then everybody done seen the cousin be escorted out. And so we could be like, okay, everybody say bye. We
Yes.
love you. And we gonna keep it pushing. And everybody was able to
Absolutely.
relax because everybody see her.
Hmm.
But having an officiant who can see the situation,
Hmm.
hold everybody in the room well,
Hmm.
and then you can balance it with some humor because everybody see what just went down.
Yeah.
So it's a nice reframe. So all that
Yeah.
to say, um, you gotta find somebody first who you feel comfortable with.
Yes. Important.
Then the humor or the whatever it is that you need in your ceremony can
Yeah.
happen because
I
you feel
love
safe
that.
to talk to them and connect with them.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I
that's
love
my.
that.
Did I answer the question? Look. I get so excited about my couples. I just be like, look, and then they did this, and then this happened. So look,
No, definitely. I love that. And really the tip that you are emphasizing is finding an officiant that you feel comfortable with, right? Who knows how to manage, again, these nuances that our culture may have to deal with. But because we're equipped, because we in it, then we understand how to pivot in those moments, and not pivot, but like make it an enjoyable pivot, right? Because not only are we transitioning and handled, listen, Olivia Pope in this situation, okay? We gonna kiki about it, right? We're gonna kiki about it as well. And then we're gonna
Mhm.
move forward the way that we do. Honestly, I just feel like it's ingrained in our DNA is to be able to deal with the
Absolutely.
situation, pivot, make a joke about it, and proceed on. I'm I'm just saying it's something about the DNA.
It's something about the DNA. So speaking about the DNA,
Yes.
what is your DNA of infusing humor into the ceremony?
Mm,
Whether
I
it's,
love it.
vows or readings or rituals, like what's
Yeah.
your mm, on using humor?
So, my biggest thing, and what I tell all of my couples, and what I love about officiating, is that I get to really learn people's unique journey to matrimony. And
Mhm.
so, I say that to say, I love infusing your accomplishments, your story, the reasons why you fell in love, not just that you found love, that's awesome, but really the reasons why you fell in love, and leaning into your quirkiness. I
Mm.
love couples quirkiness. Like, you know what I mean? Like just the individual quirks that they have, because that leans into the reasons why they fell in love, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's the opposites attract type of thing, or we were
Yeah.
so similar and we have all of these amazing things in common, or they have the same guilty pleasures that I have. And that's something that we bonded on. I like to really lean into and pick up on the literal unique journey that got you to where we are right here, right
Yes.
now.
Okay.
And I'm definitely a big advocate for infusing like your signature style. And
Mm.
sometimes you have to identify what that is. You know what I mean? It's not just the themes or the colors or anything like that. It's okay, we met on Tinder. I had a couple who met on Tinder, and some people don't like to share that they met online. So, I really do love the couples who are very authentic to like, listen,
Mhm.
this is how I met my boo. You might find yours too.
The
Like, I don't know.
algorithm, honey.
Right. Like, period. It's a lot of people out here. You can find yours. And so I wrote for their ceremony is, when swiping right goes right.
Ooh.
I don't know if you swipe left or right on Tinder. I ain't on there. Let me be let me be clear. I'm not on there, but it just was right. It was just such a moment because that's literally what happened. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I just love that I was able to incorporate that in a way that was funny, but still very true to
Mm-hmm.
who they are. And after that, they swipe right and then they close the app. Like, and that was it. They ain't been on back since. And you see where we at. So I think
This
it's
is
just acknowledging that and acknowledging it in a way that is even unique to us in like our culture, the way that we say certain things, the inside jokes that we have, that's just across the board, right? Like I don't need to, I can say somebody shot their shot and it went in and you know what that means. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So for me, that's really like how I love to infuse, humor into the ceremony. Let me learn your actual story, and
Mhm.
then I'm going to, intertwine like these jokes that are just understood
Mhm.
by us. So
'Cause
now, if you got mixed crowd, they might not get it. You might have to explain it to them after. I might have to get neighbor, bring them in on the loop. I've had people come to me after in like the reception and be like, now what does this mean? No problem. You got it. I got you. I'll explain it to you. But that's definitely one of the ways that I do it. I've seen it in vows. I've seen it with readings. I've seen it different ways. How about you? How do you like to add in that little drop of humor for your couples?
so I definitely like to do it in the announcements. I really love what you said earlier
Mm,
about that.
I love
And
that.
another take on the unplugged moment is so I definitely make fun of all the peoples with their wind up cameras and all of that. And also with an unplugged moment, I tell them, hey, we're gonna leave it to the photographers.
Yeah.
But then I always encourage the couple to do, not always, but I only encourage the couple to do like a pose. So
Yes.
everybody can take their phones out in that moment. And
Yeah.
so I'll be like, and Vogue, or, and so like everybody's posing, getting their jitters out. So that's always a really great moment to
Yeah.
infuse some relaxation.
Yeah.
Also for the guests as well, because as much as the guests want to capture the moment, as much as they're capturing moments, they're missing them
Yeah.
as they're being captured.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's also a gift
Yeah.
to the guests to be like, okay, I got my picture.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send it to the group chat who couldn't make it, but I get to enjoy this. So it's a gift to everybody,
Yeah.
especially the photographers, because they'd be like,
Right.
okay, finally these phones are out of the way. Um, but yeah, so I do that. But one of the things is there's particularly balancing the serious moments of a moment of silence
Yeah.
when it comes with remembering a loved one who wasn't able to be there.
Hmm.
And the couple has, I do it early in the ceremony so that the couple has that honoring moment and they
Yeah.
get to hold that emotion without it
Yeah.
being an anticipation moment throughout the ceremony.
I love that.
But then, because, it's especially if it's a parent or someone very dear to you, like the
Hmm.
emotions are there. Like
Yeah.
you crying on a different level.
Yeah.
And so I also find that humor is a great way to hold them as they come
In
through that
transition.
emotion
Hmm.
into back, this is your wedding day.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, hey, we're holding, abuela, we holding, grandma Meme and auntie and him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then as they're holding them, I can see and, can read the couple. And I'm like, all right, tell me when you're ready for us to move into the next phase. And they'll give
Yeah.
me the head nod. And then that's when I'll hit them with the funnies that's in their love story already,
Yeah.
what you gave voice to. So
Yeah.
it's that transition space of, hey, yes, I hold you and I also launch you, invite you, and to
I
come
love
back
it.
to this your ceremony,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Right? Like, remember, this ain't a funeral. This is
Yes.
a wedding. So we gonna say thank you, we honor you, we love you, and watch us launch into this new phase.
Love that.
So
I
humor is a
love
nice
that.
way to be able to do that and infuse that as a transition moment
Hmm.
of like, hey, you ready? All right. Or
Yeah.
so however we hold that moment. But I typically do the love story right after a moment of silence because
Hmm.
there's some funnies that people in the audience also
Yeah.
remember or get to be privy to. It's like, wait, I didn't know y'all met on Tinder. You told me
Right.
church. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah.
everybody who's also holding the moment of silence in the audience can also release, relax, and come back to the wedding as well.
Mm.
So
I
I
love that.
use humor as a tool to hold emotions throughout and get people back on this invitation of joy
Yeah.
rather than feeling like, dang, such and such ain't here.
Yeah.
Dang, this is it's like, we ain't going down that rabbit hole.
Right.
We're gonna peek
Acknowledge
in
it.
and say,
Right.
Lord, I understand. And then we're gonna go forth and be like, all right, Lord, hey, I'm about to get married because the joy of the Lord is my strength.
Yeah.
Not looking
Absolutely.
at the past and like not honoring it. Like it's a I hold both and. How do I hold
Yeah.
my sadness and my joy? And the
Yeah.
way I hold couples in that is through humor
I love
in its
that.
appropriate doses.
I love that. Okay, so I have to ask this. I have to ask this because
Okay.
it's so interesting, right? We know what couples want, right? Because we have our plannings meetings with them. We get to know them. We know what they are excited for, what they're anticipating. The same cannot be made for the guests. Excuse me. Because we do not know them, right? We haven't spent all of this extra time with them. We haven't been meeting with them. We haven't, did all of this extra prep, right? So my question is really,
Okay.
how do you let guests know to expect laughter, to expect joy, to expect to be able to cheer and celebrate and be, kind of vocal during the ceremony, right? Like we're used to going to wedding ceremonies where everybody has to be quiet from the beginning to the
Mm-hmm.
end, the longest 30 minutes of their lives. They swear it's 2 hours. It does not be
Mm-hmm.
2 hours. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, some weddings, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure.
You don't.
But really just how do you prepare guests for a good time, not a long time?
Or both. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna say,
Uh, no, 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 no. I have a rule. They're like, how long are ceremonies? My heels don't go over 32 minutes.
okay,
So
really,
it depends on
like
what shoes I'm wearing. That's
honestly,
how long the ceremony gonna be. Okay. But to answer your question, um, I did a wedding where I came out to my song and then the DJ, turned the music down. And it's in that moment where
hmm
everybody has watched me walk down.
yeah,
They know something is about to start. And so
hmm
everybody's like this. Everybody cute and pretty and stressed, right?
right,
Because they like, what's about to happen? Oh my gosh, whether just whoever you are, like there's this posture.
yeah,
And then I come out and say, welcome everyone to the wedding of such and such and such and such. Are y'all
hmm
ready for a wedding? And then they're
right,
like, yeah. And I'm like, ew. Y'all gonna have to talk back to me.
Oh, yeah.
And then I get to set the stage for what to expect.
Yeah.
I grew up in the church, so I'm gonna need some amens, and I'm gonna need some laughters when I think I'm funny. And when you
Yes.
don't think I'm funny, laugh still, or I will stop the show. Right? That I get to be able to let them know
Yeah.
that this is not church service.
Yeah.
This is not a museum.
Mm-hmm.
This is a moment where you get to witness and participate
Yeah.
in these beautiful ways.
Yeah.
And in this moment, you get to participate by being a part of the ceremony.
Yeah.
So let's do that. So let them in the back. They're not coming out till they hear you. So are y'all ready for a wedding?
Yeah.
And that's when everyone's, yeah! And now I got them.
I love that.
Listen, it
No,
don't take
it's
much.
true.
It don't take
No,
much.
it don't. And it's true. It's like you have to set the tone. Like you literally have to
Mhm.
go there. And if it's like this, you have to bring the energy up to here. Like it's so funny how officiants are so underestimated within the wedding space and even just planning your wedding day and your ceremony when we are literally the MC. We're leading the ceremony. We're setting the tone for the cocktail hour, for the reception. We're setting the tone for your marriage with the words that we speak over it and how we are celebrating your union. And for some reason, y'all do not like to kiki with us. Why? Like, that's really what I need answered. Why? And I do that. You spoke on it, right? Like, we have this, historical expectation that weddings are like a church service or, not necessarily like a funeral, but you have to be quiet like one. You can't talk like one. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like school when you're in detention and like everybody has to be quiet and you just like pass notes to your neighbor and like that's the only way that you communicate, right? No, ain't nobody say talk, don't talk over the officiant. Don't talk over the people who are leading the ceremony. But when we create these spaces for you to engage with us and we create moments for like laughter to be present, we're expecting to hear it. I'm expecting to hear it. Okay. It's
And
funny
I'll say
because one of
something.
our,
I'll be like, I
no,
can't hear you.
yeah, no, seriously.
That was funny.
Right. No, seriously, because like we also work very hard, right? And incorporating these jokes in like a very tasteful way. Like again, we're not up there doing our stand-up material. We're up there literally creating an experience for our couple, something that they can look back on and truly enjoy. And I would assume that if they're emphasizing they want people to have fun and they want it to be a fun ceremony and they want people to be able to laugh and feel comfortable, that when they look back on their video, they want to see that they actually accomplished that. You know what I mean? Like they want to get back to being in that moment. And so you as guests play such a vital role in that happening because if it's just quiet, and we're asking for a response to our call. Is there anyone on the other line?
Come
Are you there?
on.
Can you hear me
Somebody,
now? What is
can
this,
you hear me
Verizon? Can
now?
you hear me now? Right.
Good. Good.
Exactly. Come on.
Come on.
So I think that
Oh,
really the biggest thing and like what I agree with you going at the beginning of the ceremony during your welcome and encouraging people, letting them know, talking to them, doing that call and response where you are like, I'm saying something and you guys are saying something back. The you guys saying something back is the most important because I'm going to be saying stuff for about 30 minutes and I need y'all to say something back. If not, it's a
just
soliloquy. I didn't
something.
come up here for this.
Something.
I did not come up here for a monologue.
Like seriously.
Right.
And if I might may, one of the things that also shows how this can work well is when humor works well with the kids in the room too.
Yes, that's true.
So parents
Yeah.
are always, also the couple is always anxious about how their kid is in the
Mhm.
space, right?
Yeah.
And so when there's laughter and I can look at the kid and be like, was that funny? Or engage the kid in a way where they'll be like, that
Yeah.
was not funny. I'm like, I did not get approved for that joke. So, and
Right.
just reminding the adults that the kids in the room too are bearing witness to this moment.
Yeah.
So what's their language? It is sure
Mhm.
not thoueth, kisseth, believeth. Nah, they like,
Right.
huh, that was funny. And I'm telling you, the best review I got, 3 little kids, I'm talking, they had to be between the ages of 6 and 9. They came up to me and they stood just like this and they were like, that was a good talk. And baby, it took everything in me not to cry. When
I
kids
love
tell you,
that.
they're like, yeah, that was a good talk. That was a good,
Yeah.
yeah, it was good. It was
Yep.
fun. And I'm like, exactly. Humor
Yeah.
brings in the babies,
That's
right?
it. Bringing the babies.
It
Right.
brings in the babies because that
Yeah.
kid is going to be in all your pictures like this.
Right.
I mean, and so it brings them into like, okay, that was funny. Or
Yeah.
I don't get it, but everybody else laughing, so I can smile. It's okay
Yeah.
for me to smile, right?
Yeah.
It's a permission for kids to also be kids. And I
Yeah.
find that responding to when they call out, like let's say they're kid babies,
Yeah.
responding back and being like, amen, that's my amen corner, right?
Yeah.
That's humor right there. That's letting
Yeah.
the couple know that your child is not a distraction. They are a part of the ceremony
Yeah.
because
Great.
they're bearing witness in their own way.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to be that you a mother, you a
Yeah.
father, you
Yeah.
know, as well as a wife and a spouse. Like, come on now,
Yeah.
hold all of that. And you can do that with some humor. Everybody laughs.
Yeah.
Everybody laughs. And so I think
Yeah.
that's the love language that really speaks to a lot of people in the room.
Yes.
Because whether you're a vendor, whether you're on staff, whether you are a guest or the couple
Mhm.
or up there in the wedding party or one of the kids,
Yeah.
everybody understands laughter.
Yeah.
That's a universal language. And
That
so
is,
I
yeah.
think infusing humor in that way, making sure it's appropriate and not offensive. um,
Right. Period. That part.
listen, because folks do be slipping up, and I have
Yeah.
been folks. And curious, have you been folks? Like, what are your strategies for avoiding the? I didn't say that out loud, and there's a whole camera involved.
I'm about to say that's hilarious. Okay. I gotta be honest with you. I definitely stay on the appropriate, side of jokes. I know some people like to, tiptoe their way around. I think it depends on your couple too. Like some
Yeah,
couples are very much informal, very much, just they just have a different way of doing things. They have a different way of celebrating. And so you want to respect and do the things that they are asking you to do. You want to make sure you're comfortable with it too. So that's even if, you're a family member that's being asked to officiate, you definitely want to keep it appropriate. I have an example. It ain't my life. I cannot see myself
yes,
doing
it is
this,
not my life.
but I definitely have to share. And so I had an officiant come into a social that I was hosting for officiants and explain about how he did a ceremony for a woman that he used to date. That already is that's tiptoeing somewhere I don't want to be. Let me be clear. Okay.
Flags, like
So
red
not
flag.
happening. Yeah, not happening. And so he decided to tell us that during the ceremony, he did make a couple jokes about how the woman like vomited on herself the first time that he met her. First of all, you're not even talking about the husband no more. You talk about your relationship with this girl, and then on top of that, you're sharing such an embarrassing moment in
Yeah,
front of all of their family and friends, right? And so I asked him, I was like, "Well, what was her like response? Like, what does she look like?" What does she look like? Because I'm facially expressive. I don't know if that's a word, but it is today.
it
I'm
is.
facially expressive, and so I need to know. And he was like, "Oh no, she definitely was like super embarrassed and everything like that." And I'm like, "Okay." So like we want to not embarrass people on such
Yes.
a day that is so important to them. And
Amen.
that they're paying to be recorded and they're sharing with all their family and friends.
Big
So we want
facts.
to make sure that, the jokes are in alignment with how their couples already joke. I pick up a lot on my couples like mannerisms. I do a lot of video chats and stuff with them. So I'm into body language. I like to see how they say certain things, how they do certain things. And I feel like I like to incorporate that into their story that I'm telling because it just feels so much more authentic to them.
Mhm.
But I'm also like, again, very mindful of when the groom say something and the bride be like, don't put that in there. I will not.
Won't do it, won't do it, won't do it. Absolutely. It's
Yeah,
those things.
it's those
Yes,
things.
yes, yes,
Those be
yes.
the moments. So definitely paying attention to, again, like what they're looking for. I've even had couples that's like, I don't want to hear no jokes about my body, no jokes about, my duties in the bedroom. Like, I ain't trying to hear none of that. I said, don't, I got you. We ain't going to hear
Yes.
anything. Yeah. Like, no, no, no.
I
No.
remember someone said it perfectly. They were like, "We want it lighthearted, but we don't need Dave Chappelle." And I
Oh,
said,
period. That's the
I
1, the
said,
2, and the 3.
"Come on!"
That was
And
it.
guess
That
who
was a great way
understood
to
the
say that.
assignment?
Okay.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Every time. Like,
Every time. So yeah,
I
don't
love
embarrass
that.
them people. That's a big one
No,
because we
that
are
is a
not
big
there to
one.
embarrass. Like, oh, she was embarrassed. I kind of want to chop them in the throat.
Girl, listen, we have to talk off camera about that. But I will say definitely know what your couples are looking for, and couples be precise in what it is that you do not want. Your wants are just as important as your don't wants. If that's not something that you're interested in, please let your officiant know, whoever they are, professional, family, don't matter. Whoever it is, let them know, because one, your direction and what you tell us is going to lead how we write this ceremony. First and foremost, we are leaning on you to make sure that we get everything that you desire, that we represent you correctly, and that we share your story to the best of our ability. So that's going to include the details and the information you give us. So, like, be clear. If it's something you telling us just for our knowledge, but you don't want to be a part of your story, be like, girl, this is only for you. Okay, don't let this leave this room. Okay, do not let this leave this virtual room. Right, exactly. Don't play with me, because and that's how I am as a person. I'm a don't play with me type of person too. So I love that and I respect that when it comes from my
Mhm.
couples, and it's something when people are a little bit more clearer on their vision of what they do want and what they don't want. Yes, it is our responsibility and excitement to help you with ideas and to make things more logistical and flow better. But, it's super important for us to know what you want as well, because we want this to be a reflection of your relationship, not what our interpretation of your relationship is. Let me just throw that out there. But I would love to know, for everyone listening, what are some of your key takeaways to encourage couples when they are infusing humor in their wedding ceremony, and how to do it in a thoughtful and meaningful way?
No, if you funny, you funny. If you not, you not.
Right.
But all that to say, like, I think one of my brides said it best. I want to have fun on my day, but don't
Yeah.
embarrass me.
Yeah.
And she was speaking to me. She was speaking to her
Mm-hmm.
guests, to her fiance,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. And so I think, if
Yeah.
anything, the intent and impact
Yeah.
are two very separate things. I may not have intended for this joke to have hit like this, but the
Yeah.
impact. And so as we comb through our script, I always give my ceremony script to the couple beforehand.
Okay.
Um, so that they read through and make sure, like, hey, is this funny? Like, is this okay? And some people are like, well, why would you do that? Well, doesn't that, like, defeat the purpose of, like, the surprise? I was like, no, 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 baby. I am the surprise. I am not it's not the script. It is me, the moment,
Yeah.
right? Like, of being able to deliver and hold space.
Yeah.
So you can see the script all day, because when I finesse it with the humor, with
Yeah.
the care, with the joy, with the
Mm-hmm.
love, with the experience, with the expertise, with the Black queer woman with locks that I am.
Mm-hmm.
When you get a taste of this, you're gonna be like, wow, this is why we filter everything through coffee.
Okay, period. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. I would say one of my biggest takeaways, I'm a little bit opposite of you. So I do give my couples their script outside of their love story. I
Oh,
am
yes. I feel like
Yes,
that's
I
enough
am an
said.
element of surprise, kind of girly. I just really want you to experience it along with your guests. On top of that, you are not going to memorize every single word that I'm saying anyway. So it's like just let that be one thing you're not worried about. Let that be one thing that you don't have control over because life is going to give you a lot of uncontrollables too. So let's let's start with this one. But you're so like included in everything that we're doing to plan for the ceremony and your story. Like I only know what you tell me. You know what I mean? I don't go and like interview other people to try to get their perspective because I feel like the whole focus is really about you and your partner and your journey and like your actual story. So I'm not someone who like goes and asks everybody what y'all think or what y'all feel about it, or you know what I mean. I ain't doing all that. But what I am going to do is absolutely reflect your essence as a
Absolutely.
couple during your ceremony. So that's super super big to me, and I think one of the ways that I really want to encourage couples on like really infusing humor into their ceremony is to tell us those funny stories, tell us those anecdotes, tell us the things that your family is sick of hearing about. We're not your family, right? Like we're invested in like knowing your story from the beginning, knowing these funny moments, and you know what I'm saying, things like that. You don't have to sugarcoat stuff for us, like you know what I mean. I think that's one of the things I love about being an officiant is like I do not call myself a premarital counselor. I do not offer premarital counseling. That is that is not a part of my ministry. But I can recommend you. Okay, I can recommend you. But in a way, we also like play into that as well, though, because of the space that we hold for people and couples and how we allow them to like speak their truths. So I think it's super important for you to just be as honest as you possibly can during your wedding ceremony. I mean, excuse me, during your planning meeting so that we can provide an authentic story to tell your people, your folks, your tribe, your guests, your friends, and be mindful that your guest is going to be transgenerational, right? So we're going to have the older grandmas, we're going to have the aunties, the uncles, we're going to have your younger cousins there, we're going to have, maybe the kiddos there. And so it's really, you have to trust our abilities to do it, to create, in a thoughtful and a meaningful way. And I think that's why you hire a professional. I'm just saying that's why you hire a professional. But it's just also super important that, again, we create that space for the couples. The couples feel like they can share those things with us and be transparent. We ask about what level of humor do we want to be. We ask couples how do they want to feel during their ceremony. Some people don't want no humor. Some people want it romantic and they want everybody crying, and that's that. Some people want it short and sweet, and girl, we ain't even got to talk that much about the story because everybody know it, and that's not what we're looking for. So you got to just be more mindful and asking the right questions about what your couple is looking for. And couples, you have to be more transparent about what it is that you're looking for, because we need it to be a match made in heaven. And it will be when we have that transparency there. That's my
I love
that's
it.
my this mic on? This my 2 cents. Right. That is my 2 cents. So we highly, highly, and highly encourage anyone listening to this, whether you are wedding planning, whether you've been to a wedding, whether you are a wedding vendor, anything. I just want you to share your own experience or even ask any type of questions related to adding humor into your wedding ceremony. It is a conversation that I have been dying to have. I've been having it with other officiants, but really just talking about how your ceremony is the pregame to your cocktail hour, to your reception, to the rest of the night. So we're not going to start off stuffy and think that the night starts at the cocktail hour. No, baby, a wedding is two parts. It is your ceremony and your reception. Your cocktail hour goes into your reception, but the ceremony, important. That's why it's first, because it's important. Okay, that's all.
Look, my cup empty. Your cup empty?
My cup is empty, girl. I done said all I needed to say.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And so we had great conversation. I
Yeah.
hope you were able to sip on all of the great things that we were able to share with you. And until next time, sis, you got anything else they need to sip on?
No, girl, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, loves, please share your experience in the comments and questions section related to our podcast because we want to hear from you. So until next time, see y'all.
Bye, guys.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Filtered Through Coffee. We've enjoyed serving up some wedding wisdom with a splash of melanin and some culture. Until we sip again, remember, your wedding journey is like a perfectly brewed cup of coffee. Flavorful, bold, and uniquely yours.